favorites. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 10 of Great Race Plays right here on the HHH Racing Podcast, an exclusive look every Thursday night live at 9:30 Eastern at the Late Pick 4 at beautiful Santa Anita Racecourse in Arcadia, California, and it is for, again, the Sunday Late Pick 4. I'm joined by my co-host Pete Visco and Paul Halloran, and welcome to everyone that is watching live, especially those of you on the West Coast. And once again, we appreciate our proud partners, Santa Anita, for allowing us to allowing them to have us on their YouTube channel and their X handle. You can listen to us also as replays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We have a really good tip sheet, and it's really important because we have big Triple Crown preps coming up here in the next few months. Of course, the Derby and a lot of other exciting races. If you want great information on Saturdays, stake races, spot plays, prize plays, ABC Pick 5 grids, please check it out below the video player. It's you can find out how to purchase our very inexpensive and profitable Power Pick tip sheet. It is through Patreon. You can also find more information on our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Gentlemen, got something I want to mention right away, and it's not horse racing related, but we're all big sports fans. I found out something very historic happened today in a game relating to one of the wonderful teams out on the West Coast. There was a preseason baseball game, the first one of the year, between the Cubs and the Dodgers. They're playing early because the Cubs are going to Japan, I believe, in a few weeks here. And the Dodgers as well. So they're starting their games early. Do you guys know what happened that was very historic in the first inning of the preseason spring training game today? Yes, Paul Halloran.
A successful challenge of a ball and strike.
Correct. Not only, the challenge is the historic part, and yes, it was successful. Max Muncy was up. It was the first inning. The catcher was on the outside part of the setup on the outside part of the plate. And it was one of those deals, Pete, where it was a fastball that was like on the inner half, so the catcher had to sort of like reach over to catch the ball. And it's a little deceiving for the umpire. Clearly a strike. My Cubbies challenged. It took literally 10 seconds, Pete. That's it. 10 seconds, and went from a 1-1 count to an 0-2 count. Thoughts on that? I know we're not horse racing, but that's okay. We can talk about it for 30 seconds. I like it, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. I have to watch the replay, but it sounds, if you can do it quick. Yeah, if you can do it quick, that's all that's important, but I'm all for it because, strikes and balls can come into play in pretty important times in a baseball game. And
I agree.
If you can do it quick and it doesn't delay the game, because they've made so many strides with shortening the games in baseball last year.
Right.
Let's not do anything to extend it and sort of lose that goodwill. So as long as they can do it quick, and is it only challenge? Do you get like a
I
set
don't know
number?
the rules. Do you know the rules, Paul? I don't know. I got a lot of things.
It's got to be a set number. I mean, it has to be a set.
Yeah.
I assume they did it in the first inning just because they want to try the system.
Yeah, you got to try it out. Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you do it in the first inning, you're a total idiot.
Yeah. Jim with a very interesting comment in the chat that I'm not going to bring up right now, but hey. Jim, we appreciate your thoughts. Guys, big weekend at Santa Anita, and even a bigger one next weekend. Major Derby prep. There are 2 California horses running at Oaklawn this Sunday. Moved to Sunday for the Rebel. My top choice in the race is a Michael McCarthy horse in Bullard. Madacat Road is also there for Baffert. So it's going to be fun, guys. The Rebel on Sunday with 2 West Coast horses out there. But we're here to talk about the Sunday Late Pick 4. An intrigue sequence. There are no stake races this Sunday, but it's a good, challenging Late Pick 4 with some very big fields, guys, and that's all we want. Again, kudos to Santa Anita, guys. Starting next week, February 28th, which is Saturday, I believe, 8% increase in purses. There's also an increase, by the way, Del Mar, which is not connected to Santa Anita, of course, but just want to mention that also coming up to the summer. So very good things happening on the West Coast. Weather is going to be fantastic. Let's jump right in, guys, to Late Pick 4 on Sunday. San Anita, and it starts right here as I bring it up on screen. Starts in race 7, claiming 20,000 down to 18. This is not exclusively for Northern California horses. 6 furlongs. This is non-winners of 3. So this is a condition you don't see too often. This is an N3X claiming big field of 11. We don't have morning lines. We do not have morning lines on. They're not out yet as we film live here on Thursday night. I'm assuming it's going to be one of the outside horses if I had to guess. Let me go and bring up our top picks right now. Coming up on the screen, we appreciate any comments in the chat, positive, negative, your thoughts. We like to have very active and live chat here. I'm going 10-9-8. Paul's going 9-3-10. And Pete is going also with the 9-9-8-6. I chuckle because we have a fantastic show right before this on Thursday nights called Picks and Ponies. Everyone, please check that out. We previewed Oaklawn. And Pete and Paul were like simpatico. And I think 4 of the 5 races. And here they go again. I do have the 9 second. Paul, talk about the number 9 magic account. This is for California breds, by the way. This is Hector Palma and Fresu, who is riding Sunday at San Anita, but he's riding. Actually, I'm a little surprised by that. I'm not sure it's going to stay that way. I believe Fresu's out at Saudi on Saturday. That's a quick turnaround. How about that, guys? So these jockeys are amazing, Paul. If he's doing that,
Ryan Moore did something similar at Saratoga.
Okay.
I just remember it wasn't the usual, Europe now they do it on the drop of a hat, but he had some really long trip that I wasn't expecting to see him, and he was there. So that's very possible, Howard. Because remember, Saudi is 8 hours ahead of us, so he gets an 8-hour head start. But yeah, horse for course, 5 out of 6 in the exacta. Really, if you throw out the first race, the debut, really only had the one bad race. Might not have liked the air down at Del Mar. Every other race is good. He's in that low to mid 70 buyer range that I think fits in this race. Fresu's pretty good. It's an example, I think, of a horse being spotted where he should run, and I think he's going to be right in the thick of it as a result.
I think so. He gets a nice cozy spot on the outside. He's a 5-year-old, but he's a lightly raced 5-year-old, Pete. He's only had 7-time lifetime starts. I suppose you could say that's a negative, but the positive aspect is that he still might have a little bit of upside.
Yeah, and all those races were within 2024 mostly. So yeah, he got a late start, but he seems to be going at a pretty good clip. I mean, he ran 5 times in 24. Like Paul said, he finished in the top 2, 4 of those 5. And the one thing I liked is he came back in his first race in 25 after about 4-month layoff, and he sort of held his form. So at least from a figure standpoint, and Mega Moon, who he lost to, that's a pretty good horse. We talked about that horse, yes, I think, on one of these shows, right? That's a pretty good horse who I think got away on the lead and was a huge chalk in that race. So there's no, I don't think there's any disgrace in losing that last race. I thought that was a good comeback. Now you're getting second off the layoff. So I think everything looks on the up and up for that horse.
I agree. I'm going with Manchild, who is consistent. 8 for 13 in the money. Dettori in a 20 claimer. So that's a little surprising, and I'm actually happy about that. Has a lot of speed, guys, and may not be on the lead, but it's very tactical. It's interesting that Papadromo and Mohall, guys, the trainers, can't decide if this is a dirt horse or a turf horse. He keeps going. I mean, you don't see that too often, guys. Turf, dirt, turf, dirt, turf, dirt again. But he's in really fine form. He should set a really very good trip here. I do like Manchild, the number 10. I'm guessing he's going to be around, 3-1, 7-2, probably one of the co-favorites. I just think he's consistent and should sit a nice trip. We were actually pretty accurate, guys, with the morning line guesses last week. And by the way, shout out to Pete, who had the last race winner in the 1.8 turf race at a decent price there, Pete, as I was as frustrated as I'll get out when I opened up the PPs or my phone and saw the Inner Fury, who we talked about for 10 minutes, was scratched. But I'm interested to see when Inner Fury, who would be a maiden turfer, comes back for D'Amato. Let's go on.
Yeah, that race barely closed out a pick 5. I closed out a pick 5 that did not pay. You too? Yeah, did not. It was enough to at least I didn't lose money on the ticket, which I think
it
some
was a little
days is a
chalky
plus.
last time. What was it? 140 something, I think.
140. Yep.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the $2 late pick 4 to go with it, Pete. That was worth like another one.
Well, I messed up, Paul. Not to take us off track. I messed up because I played a skinnier ticket, and I left that Pratt big chalk off in like the second leg, so I would have hit it twice. But I'm an idiot, and I left Pratt off, which I never do. But you know, not to derail us, but it's nice to at least cash a ticket sometimes.
Right. Paul, Icy Mischief, came through for us last week, also on the show. Remember?
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. That was the single.
Yes, we find winners here on this show. Not all the time, but we find a lot of them, and we try to help everyone out and do the best we can. Let's go on to the next race right here, guys. Race 8. Nice turf sprint. $34,000 purse. Rails are out 10 feet. There's some very salty veterans in this race, but boy, they're consistent. Claiming price 25 down to 22.5. You've got, let's see, 2 9-year-olds, an 8-year-old, and 3 7-year-olds. Paul, are you related to any of these horses?
Wow.
Whoa.
This is the senior citizen of that. Just kidding. All right. We love you.
So, Howard, you're saying there's going to be a day where Naira doesn't let me cover races because I'm too old, just like they don't let the 10-year-olds run?
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually an interesting comment or word for another day. Anyway, I'm going 954. Paul's going 529, and Pete is going 456. We are all going 3 different places, but we all do have number 5 Jetovator, who's one of those 9-year-olds in the mix. Pete, let's go to you first. You're gonna go with Doncic. Boy, that's a popular name.
Yeah, that's in the news these days, right?
Yeah, out of California. I've got this horse third. I'm gonna let you talk about him. I think he's very interesting for a lot of reasons. Seren Dettori, the number 4. I'm guessing 5-1, 6-1 ish morning line. Pete, I don't know if you agree with that. Talk about Doncic in the turf sprint.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. This is a weird horse for me, and it was a tough one to figure out. I actually was between the 4 and the 5. If you look back to January of last year, you see the horse was in fantastic form. You had the back-to-back 89 buyers, 109, 108 on the time form scale, then came back and then shot all the way up to optional claiming 80, probably was a little higher than the horse needed to be. Ran terrible, and then it's been gone for basically a year now. So from that perspective, I'm like, well, if this horse is ready and can regain that form, and if you look at the works, there's some sharp works on the page. So at least, but it's a 7-year-old. So 7-year-old, you're like, okay, after a year, is a 7-year-old going to really come back sharp first time? So I was sort of weighing that against, well, at least the works look good. Gets to Tori, who actually won on this horse last January. And I think if can run back to that kind of style, we're sitting sort of that stalking trip. There's not a ton of pace, so I'm hoping not too far back where it can maybe sit off, which I assume you guys will talk about Jetovator, who most likely is going to be on the lead. If it could sit close and sort of work out a trip, likes the course, likes the distance, just whether a 7-year-old could come back after that layoff and be ready.
He's done it well, though, on layoffs. We'll get back to that in just a second, yes. Right? So Doncic, they have sitting mid-pack. Jetovator's hard to trust on the lead, so I think we all agree with that.
Well, it's like he folds a bit, so that's the hope if you're looking for a horse off the pace, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we're all going to use him. I mean, he's loose on the lead, but he just doesn't seem to get the job done, and Doncic should be sitting a good trip, and he's done well off layoffs before, I believe.
Yeah,
as I go back to it,
he has. You're right. I usually mention that. He ran his 91 buyer and a second by a neck to Cherubic Factor. I think it's a pretty good horse, and then also off a pretty long layoff last time was another 89 beating Exaltation, and that was the run Dettori was up. So there's a few things to like. It's just I hope the old guy can come back sharp.
I agree. I think Dettori shows there's some intent here. I mean, again, these top jock, maybe Dettori's not like the top jock out there now, but he's their agent and the connections. They're just not going to put Datora on a horse that like needs one. Like I just have a hard time believing. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Paul, you're going with the old man. Boy, this was hard for me not to put on top. I mean, when you see a horse that's that loose and is very good, it's hard for me to leave this one off. I guess my thought is at some point he's going to regress, and he just finds ways to lose lately, but that doesn't mean he's going to lose Sunday.
Yeah, it was strictly a pace play for me. I just think he has a huge. I thought he had a huge pace advantage before I went to the time form, and then the time form kind of solidified it.
There you go.
I don't think he's going to go 21-3 or 21-4 as he did. Now you could say, well, Paul, he went 23-1 2 starts ago, and he lost. Well, he lost by a nose running for 32. He's down a notch to 25 here. I just think he has a huge pace advantage. Now, someone goes with him early, gives him trouble. I'll do what I have a lot of experience doing, ripping up my ticket.
No, we don't want that to happen, Paul.
No, we don't, but it's happened before.
Yeah, it can happen to the best of them, sir, and you are one of the best of them. Look, he's very formidable here if he gets loose. And you know what's weird, guys? There's a lot of layoff horses here that don't want the lead. I mean, so this is it maybe if one of them's fresh, Pete. You know how this works, guys. Oh, there's someone's got a track just off a Jetovator, and all of a sudden they go 21-3 and 44-4. I mean,
yeah,
I don't see it, but we'll see. By the way, I'll tell you what I do see is we're filming live here Thursday night. So if you're watching as a replay, I want everyone to understand why I say this. 2-1 USA Hockey right now over Canada. Goal scored by Jake Sanderson at the 7:32 mark. Actually, it's 7:32 in. It's weird. They do a weird online. That'd be. Let me do a little math. That'd be the 12:28 mark of the second period. See how I had to reverse that, the 20 minus in my head.
That was an important fact to mention.
There you go.
Thankfully, you did that for us.
Don't Swear Dave. I'm going to go price shopping. I'm guessing Don't Swear Dave's going to be 8-1 money line. First of all, first time gelding. I mean, can't go wrong there. Hector Palma, we already talked about him. He's good off layoffs, and this horse is solid off layoffs. Number one, you see he won there from August to October, guys. 2 years ago. So he can win off layoffs. I'm not overly concerned about that. He's only 6. He's been working very well. How about a 46-3 handily, third best of 87, guys? Earlier, I guess last weekend. I see no reason. I think the horse has done well sprinting. To me, I'm hoping. Again, it's a guess. I'm hoping, Pete and Paul, this is the one that's sitting right off a Jetovator and gets first run. Tiago is a solid jockey. I don't think they're going to be passive with this horse. I'm guessing, but I'm going to get a price with Don't Swear Dave. Quick thoughts and move on. Paul, you've got him third.
Yeah, he could, he could sit right off him. Again, has his best number on a wet dirt, ironically, but certainly has run well on turf and figures, and I will have him as an A in my horizontals.
Yeah,
he was my next. He was my next horse too. He was fourth for me. So right there.
There you go, guys. Hundreds of people watching right now, which is the good time to bring this up. We are very excited to talk about this coming up on Saturday. So let me talk about it briefly. This Saturday, and I hope you're watching this. If you're watching this as a replay, I hope you find out about our show, or you're going to listen to this or watch this before early Saturday. On the West Coast, it's going to be a little bit early. But you know what, guys? Grab your bagel, grab your coffee, and bet a little Saudi and watch our show. Saturday morning, live, 10 a.m. Eastern is the start time. Of course, that means 7 a.m. Pacific Coast time. Myself, Davey Lane, who, if you're not familiar with the show, Davey Lane is an excellent handicapper punter from the UK, Liverpool, England. He's been on the show before. And Emmett Kennedy, who's host of the Final Furlong podcast out of Ireland. So I'm hosting along with 2 excellent handicappers / punters from Europe will be with us to go through the last 4 races of the Saudi Cup card. There's some Americans running. The last race is going to occur at 12:40 Eastern, so that'd be what, 9:40 Eastern, 9:40. There we go again. 9:40 on the West Coast. $20 million, guys, up for grabs. Have either one of you looked at the Saudi Cup. The only American is Rail and Roll. However, a horse named Defunded, that might sound familiar, who is a former Baffert, who's now a 7-year-old, is also running in the race for Middle Eastern connections. Guys, Forever Young versus a very, very nice turf horse called Romantic Warrior, who I think will handle this plus Rail and Roll and others. Should be a fun race. 1.8 miles on the dirt, but it's got a little Tapeta feel to it too, guys. Should be fun.
Yeah,
Have
it
you
should be a
looked into
great
it at
one.
all? Any thoughts at all?
I haven't looked at. You see the PPs yet? Are they
They
out?
are out on Brisnet, and they might be coming out on DRF tonight, if not tomorrow. They're always a bit late, but Brisnet has them, by the way. So yes,
Go ahead,
they
Paul.
are out.
You saying something?
No, I was going to say it won't be as much fun as I had watching Kelly Alvarado, watching Junior Alvarado, not knowing the silks had changed and realizing with about 100 yards to go, her husband was about to pocket $1.2 million, which was the jockey's share.
Yeah, great video. If people saw that.
Terrific video.
Sure was. Let's go to race 9, guys. Race 9 is the third leg of the late pick 4 on Sunday at San Anita. It is optional allowance claiming 20,000. It's Calbreds, 12-horse field. Again, we love the big fields. Very challenging. 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Let's see who we are going in this race. This is race 9. Let's see. Oh, DRF, they are out. Okay, then that's a recent thing. Recently,
Thanks, Bittersweet.
Yep, thanks, Bittersweet. They just came out on DRF during our show here, guys. I'm going 9, 4, 10. Paul's going 4, 12, 2. And there we go again. Pete is going 4, 9, 5. Pete and Paul, this is crazy. If Pete and Paul, if they have a big weekend, you at home, if you agree with their thoughts, they are going to have you guys are going to have a monster weekend together. And I really hope you guys do, because we want everyone to win money. And your top choices, frankly, have been some of my top choices, but I've had your horses in the mix in almost every pick on this show and our previous show. Paul showing what?
2-2?
Oh boy, Canada scored. Okay, what a great game.
Oh wow! Look at my confetti. I don't. What did
Pete? I knew Pete was Canadian. We all knew it. Paul, closet Canadian from Maryland. Okay,
hey,
whatever.
It's in the Italian section of Montreal.
I've been to a strip club or two in Montreal, so if that makes me Canadian, I'll take it. So I'll
okay, the little TMI on the show, but that's totally fine.
That's what we
do. We do that. Pete, you're going to go, and Paul going Stop Digging, a 4-year-old filly for Simon Callahan and Mr. Dettori. What do you like about Stop Digging in race 9 Sunday?
Yeah, it's got one of those things that you generally don't like to see. A little bit of second-itis going on, and most of it has occurred. A good portion of it lately has occurred sort of at this level. So it's sort of sitting at this level, not being able to close the deal, which has been tough. But you get Dettori up now. I mean, Pratt couldn't do it 2 back, which isn't the best, but you get Dettori up. And I just think this is one of those horses. It's hard to leave off, even though they finish a horse like this. She finishes second all the time. But again, the thing that she does is she always runs her race. She's always right there. She's relatively tactical enough. She can sit off, which I like in this case. Time Form, which I'm sure you'll show, is projecting a bit of a fast pace. So if you can sort of sit mid-pack off that, and if that does come to fruition, then I think this one will be in a good position, which again, she generally is. The point will just be, can she all of a sudden wind up finally hitting the wire first? I think her best race can do that here. I liked having Dettori to try and get her over the line. Again, you're always taking a shot, though, with a horse that just for some reason doesn't have a knack for winning and hasn't done it on the dirt. Is 5 for 7 in second on the dirt. Only 2 wins came on the turf.
We haven't shown a lot of replays. This is the 2. Do you think this is just too far and she's really going to appreciate the cutback? She did get a very good trip here in the Redham Silks there, come to the inside. Just couldn't see out the distance, or was it a class thing? Or I'm not saying this was negative, but she did get a very good trip and just couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, I thought it could be the distance, and maybe now she's getting back to, I mean, her 2 turf wins were sprinting. She 2 back, she went to 6.5, the same 6.5 here, and only lost by a half length, was actually closing at that point. So again, I think maybe she just likes sprinting a little bit better. But again, she just runs her race regardless of where she is. She just can't get her nose on the wire. But again, it's not like I would look at her as a single. You're not going to look at this horse and say this is a guaranteed winner. But in a race where I think it's pretty wide open, she's one that I feel like you have to include.
Matt Miller in the chat. Can't think of a better way to watch those races. Seriously, so much better than whatever TV coverage there is. He's referring, by the way, to our Saudi Cup show. Matt, thanks for joining the show. We agree. We there's no commercials. There's no, let's see what's going on in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to do. And, I understand that the broadcast, they have to do that, right, Pete and Paul? I mean, they got to do that. So I understand, but we are deep diving into the past performances. And even if you're not familiar with the horses that are running Saturday in Saudi Arabia, they're all serious races and a lot of really good racing with big fields. So check that out. Appreciate that. Let's see who else here we got. Jim Pilars is here. Newport Lights is here. Thinks the game's going to go to OT. What game? I thought we were talking about the late pick 4 on Sunday. I don't even know what they're talking about. Paul, quick thoughts on Stop Digging, and you can mention your 12, and I will talk to everyone about my top pick.
Yeah, I think Pete covered it. It's a tough horse to put on top, but I kind of defaulted to the someone has to win theory. Obviously, going to Frankie doesn't hurt matters. I get your point on the last time, Howard, and I think it's a valid point. I don't know if it was the distance. I just think, it's no secret. You thought the horse in the last race found ways to lose. That he's an amateur compared to this one. So
you got Chasing Cat in second. This can be a price. Does pick up JJ Hernandez. Is light on figs, but it gets a wide post. But she's tactical. Yeah. She's going to be forward. She could improve, and she's going to be, boy, I would say all of 10-1 at least.
Yeah, that's what was appealing. Coming off a win, which is a pretty good angle for Powell. State bred win last time out, but coming right back in the state bred company here. I like the fact that she is not for sale in this race. It's an optional claimer. 54 is a little light last time, but certainly first start of the year off a modest layoff, has every right to improve. And price play for me, could get a trip from out there.
I'm doing something I don't normally do, which is going against the grain with the pace flow. We saw that it was a hot pace, guys, and Wishes to Riches will be up close. But you know what? I didn't love a lot of the closers, number one. Number two, Carmona is a young jock, obviously. It might not work out, but D'Amato puts this jock on, and she's quick, guys. I'm hoping she can clear. If not, maybe she can sit. She just looks like the fastest earlier right there. I'm just sort of hoping with an apprentice jock, he just sends. I think it's Seraphin, I believe is his first name. Just sends and just wins the race, guys. It's not my strongest play. Pete, you like this horse too. It's just I hope she speed the horse.
Yeah, it was
the field, but I'm worried that the horse might get caught in a speed duel. But I just don't like the closers in this race.
Well, the thing I'd like, because I almost put her on top, was the at least from a time form standpoint, if nothing else, the horse right to her inside, Elton Sings Another, is the other speed. But that horse is coming off a layoff from June. Right. So my hope was, if you like the 9, that maybe the 8 just isn't as sharp because it's off a long layoff, and the 9 could maybe outbreak and clear. And then I think, because the 9 only wins, if I remember correctly, both wins were wire to wire. So I felt like she needs the lead to win the race most likely. And I thought that was a good thing, where at least Carmona can say, oh, this horse didn't break, I can go. And instead, if the 8 breaks and they go together, then if you have a horse coming off the pace, you're happy.
It's a little I hope your logic is correct. I hear you, but sometimes when they're off the break, they're even sharper, right? Because
sometimes, I guess, but
you never know.
It depends.
You have a crystal ball somewhere? I don't have one.
I know. Who the hell knows? We never predict the pace exactly right. So when we think it's going to be fast, when it doesn't.
Let's go to the last race, guys. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to bring it up. The last race at Santa Anita on Sunday is another optional claiming allowance, 20,000. This one's on the turf for Calabreds. A lot of Calabreds running Sunday. Nice to see. How about a $61,000 purse? Very nice. Mile. The rails are out, I believe, 10 feet. Yep. Rails are out 10 feet. This is a field of 11. I am going to go 5-9-1. Paul's going 1-3-9, and Pete's going 2-8-5. We are all over the map. So we'll just talk about our top picks. Paul's going to go number 1, Brazenly.
Wait, my numbers are wrong. I don't know where.
Oh, okay. What are your numbers, Pete?
That was my Oaklawn numbers. Mine are 5-1-10. So
I know the feeling, Pete.
So rare because I never make mistakes.
Never. God, it's
5,
the first
1,
time.
10?
First time in 400 shows almost. Yeah, 5-1-10.
Okay, my apologies. There we
Oh,
go.
all
Let me
good.
bring it up again.
I was going to say I didn't like it.
Oh, you're going with Mike? Well, Pete, just I mean, you have to.
I mean,
go
once
back
I
and look,
saw
but this-
once I saw you had the 5, I was like, I have to put the 5. Let me just make it.
I'm sure that's always your
That was-
logic.
yeah, that's
Paul,
fine.
talk about Brazenly for these are connections that are not real well known. Where the jockey doesn't win too much, but it's that kind of race, sort of, isn't it?
Yeah, it's witness protection program connections, to be honest with you.
Wow.
But, Grazen is a really good turf sire. Lieutenant Dan, who ran second in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and Enola Gray, who was a top, not top, but, graded stakes type turf horse in California. The has a sibling that won twice on turf. So even though this horse is 0 for 7 on turf, I just got a feeling that Sunday might be the day. I think I'll certainly get a better price than expected because of the connections. I like the post. I like being on the inside with a relatively short run to the turn. Again, kind of a wide open race, but I thought put that all together with what I think will be a decent price, again, especially because of connections. This is where I landed.
I like that cutback, Paul. I thought why because I think I watched that replay. I think he hung a little bit at the end there, and but that was the 1 1/8. I thought maybe the last eighth got to him if I remember correctly.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I thought the cutback. I think you like that here.
2, 7, 9 are all coming back. If you want to, we have a minute. We can show this race. He is the 7 in between Brazenly, who's the 1 on Sunday, right here.
Yeah, and in between, but plenty of room to maneuver, and certainly no excuse. But he's plodding along okay. They're moving okay, and looks like he's making a little bit of a run here. And as Pete said, he just, I just think he ran out of steam, Pete. I don't know that he hung so much. I just think that he ran out of steam.
Agree.
Might make this distance a much better option.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 was flying late and was on the wrong lead, and really, Cousin Richie really looked like he sort of hung there. So I don't, it didn't visually. That doesn't look like a great race, but the time came back okay. So I don't know. We all got Brazenly in the mix. It's a little interesting. Pete and I are both going to go with the 5 horse, which I got to count. Sorry. There we go. Invest a lot. Sounds like a good idea to me, Pete.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to invest a lot in this race specifically. It might be a tough one, but yeah, this is similar to the last race where this is a horse who looks like could get away with a pace advantage and could get away on the lead. Now that hasn't always been successful, like it wasn't last time. But again, this horse, I don't know if you watched last couple replays, 2 back, it says in the notes too, pulled a little bit, was lugging a little bit in the last one. So maybe it's just a little green. I mean, it's only 5 starts in. So if you get this horse, run straight, get on the lead, sort of get back it down a bit in the middle, and then run straight and not have any trouble in the lane. I think one of these times this horse is going to hold, and against this field, this might be the time to do it, just because I think this is a wide open race, but I think if you have a clear pace advantage, I think that's gonna be advantageous for this horse.
Not the strongest play for me, Pete. However, I like that he's not on the rail. He's been on the rail, 2 of his 5 starts, and it looked like he broke a little slow. I don't also like the fact there's no work since. I'll have to check out the vet scratches and whatnot. I haven't done that yet. I don't mind the jockey. Escobedo rides often for Hansen and usually rides horses for Hansen that show a lot of early speed. So the directions are simple here. Go to lead, try to bottom out the field.
Yeah.
Right. Only 5 lifetime starts. Again, not a strong opinion here, but this race doesn't have a lot of horses that are win types, and we'll see 6, 7, 8, 9. Rodrigo Knows is a horse that I'm interested in that could sit right off of the 5. I just, again, another race where I like closers in general, but I don't like closers in certain races. And if I don't like closers, and this is something I've learned, Pete and Paul, and it's taken me some time to figure this out. And I think I've got a handle on it. And I recommend people that, bet often, maybe you would agree with this statement. I think too many times, Pete and Paul, people look at the pace and they see a lot of early speed and they just automatically default to the closers. But guess what? Yes, bomb closers can win, but if they're not high quality, sometimes you just go with the speed of the speed and just hope, right? Or at least the horse that's finishing second. It's something I need to work on more. I tend to use too many closers in races that supposedly have a lot of early speed. And Paul, you've been at this game a long time. They all look at the form too. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, sometimes they don't all go, Howard, which is a great point. And sometimes because of that pace, the closers are just simply too far behind. How many times have you played a race to quote melt down and your horse is flying, but you see him at the 8th pole and you're like, you know what? He ain't gonna get there. He's flying, but he runs 4th, 3rd, 2nd. So I think it's a point well taken. And and then you're back to that Tony Black. Not how fast you're going; it's how you're going fast. I think there's a difference between maybe a horse alone in the lead, or maybe 1 or 2. Versus a 4-horse scrum. Now you got a 4-horse scrum. Now I probably want someone coming from behind. So it's a variable that's well worth looking at. And, you got to try to envision. And I think other than tonight, I think Time Form can help you with that. I think Time Form has some very interesting early pace thoughts on these 2 cards we've talked about.
The other card people are not aware, we covered Oaklawn. Don't be nice about Time Form. Craig Volkowski and the boys do
a great
job, but we can agree to disagree a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
They're probably right. I'm probably wrong. I'll get over it.
Well, Paul, let's hope you're not wrong about your best bet, which for the late pick 4 on Sunday starts in race 8, and you're giving out a pick 3 on Sunday, race 8 at Santa Anita as I flip over, which by the way is a $3 late pick 3. It's just one of these bets that they've done. The racing office guys just done a fantastic job, in my opinion, with the betting menu. In fact, let's hear a little bit more about that late pick 3 at Santa Anita.
Now offered at the Great Race Plays. $3 late pick 3 featuring the last 3 races. $5 late double on the last 2 races. Both with a player-friendly 15% takeout every race day at Santa Anita Park.
There you go, okay. Frankie.
You're going 5 with 4-12 with 1-3.
Appropriate, because we just got through talking about pace. And the 5 is that 5-horse Jetovator that I picked based on the fact I think he does have a real pace advantage. So that's only a $12 ticket with a $3 base. You're allowed to play it for more if you so
of course
choose.
Pete, the old man is going with the old man. We can kid because we love.
We love.
All right. And by the way, Pete, in all honesty, we're not that far behind the gentleman.
No, I am definitely not. No.
Just go like we see it, okay? All right. Look, we got to be honest. Pete, race 8, you're going with the pick 3. You are playing a much bigger one, 4-5-6 with 4-5-9 with 1-5. That is a $54 ticket because I'm a professional math teacher, and I can do 3 times 3 times 2 times 3 in my head quick enough. $3, that's why. And what's wrong, Paul? Something wrong?
No, I want to see if we can both hit it, Pete.
5-4-1. 5-4-1 we need.
Okay, there you go. Just
that's
crush
it.
That.
That's
crush
it.
That.
That's the
5-4-1. Straight for $99. Hit it 33 times. And then a double in race 9, 4-5-9 with 5. Sending you the 5, our horse on the end. And you should do, Pete, in that double, you should invest a lot.
Good one. No, that's actually a good one. Your puns usually suck, but that was actually a good
one.
I enjoy that.
You.
Suck might be strong, but they're usually they're like it. They're dad kind of puns.
You should hear the compliments I get from my students every day. I'll take suck. Go ahead.
I have no doubt. Yeah, it's funny that last race. I was saying I thought it was a tough field, but when I go through, I always break every horse down into A, B, C, or X.
Yep.
And I had 1A and 1B, and that was it. So I'm like, I guess that's the horse I like the best in the sequence was that 5. So,
okay. Any increment you would suggest people play that for? Any thoughts on that?
Which one, the double or the pick?
Yeah,
three?
the double. Sorry, the double. How many
No,
times?
that's the $5. That's the 5. So I figure at least the 5 because that's the $5 double. The last two. That's the last 2 races.
Okay, there we go.
So minimum the 5 you have to play. So that's good enough to start.
Right. I just wasn't sure how many
I'd like
times
to see the
you
odds
wanna hit
before.
that.
Increments are tough when we don't have the morning lines because you
True.
figure you'd skew it depending upon what the odds are.
Very true. My best bet. I'm going to race 7. I'm going to put a win on the number 10 horse, which is the horse with tactical speed on the outside. And race 8, it is not part of the $5 Dave double. I'm going to go 5-9 with 4, 9, 10. This is a fun late pick 4, guys. It is not easy. It is huge fields, which we really like. Careful, Howard. Don't get Pete's Canadian ire up. Oh boy, yeah. Well,
Oh,
I'll be careful.
Canada! I usually
You
don't
know what?
sing. That's
I
you
like-
guys
I
usually
like-
sing, but
I don't want
yeah,
them to win the
know.
game, but I like Canada. They are our partners. And Pete, I've heard you. Rumor is that they might be our 51st state. You said on our previous show.
I mean,
oh boy,
you know,
we don't want to go there. Oh, geez.
I mean, it's a big. It would be a big
Just-
state. I don't know if you're going to break it up. We'll have to see what Mr. Trump decides to do.
Guys, we're gonna close it out again. Saturday morning, 7 a.m. on the East Coast. Myself, Davey Lane, and Emmett Kennedy. If you don't know who they are, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna want to check these gentlemen out. Excellent handicappers, punters. They know European racing like a glove, and they also have dove into the Middle Eastern horses that are running. I've done my research. I have a lot more research to do in the next 48 hours, which I guarantee I will do. But I do watch Saudi and Maidan once in a while when I can. So please watch our show live. It's not on San Anita's X or YouTube channel. I should mention that. It is on our X and YouTube channel, but go to YouTube. That's because you want to, obviously, that's the best place to go. Go to our YouTube channel, hhhracingpodcast.com, Saturday, 7 a.m. West Coast time. David, what's up, David? Thanks for bringing that up, Pete.
Welcome.
David Ramirez. Hope you're enjoying the show. Last thing, guys, oh boy. What we really need everyone to do, please, is hit that subscribe button. We are close to 5,000 subscribers, so please make sure we do that. What happened, Paul? What am I missing?
No, that's sign language to subscribe.
Oh, I thought Paul was like, hurry up. He's got to.
No,
go back to
it's
the game.
intermission.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Yes, we really need your help with subscribing. So please go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Costs nothing. We're trying to get to 5,000. Heck, we're trying to get to 10,000. San Anita has been great to us so far, guys. We've had a lot of winners, and we have a great tip sheet as well that you can find out. So please do that. Thank you. PPs for the Saudi Cup. DRF has them up from Joseph.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
No, please, Pete.
Oh, no. So I was going to say DRF has them up. Somebody mentioned in the chat. Where else? You said you saw them, Howard?
Where I first saw them, but they're not as detailed as. And the last thing about Saudi, just because we're mentioning it, and it's a big day Saturday morning, big morning. The saddlecloth numbers are by alphabetical order, which obviously are not necessarily or mainly not the gates that they draw. That happens often in the Middle East and Europe sometimes as well, but mainly the Middle East. I don't know why. But anyway, so please don't get confused by that. Just watch our show Saturday morning and they'll all be cleared up and you won't be confused. Any final thoughts, Pete and Paul?
Great weekend. Great weekend. We got this sequence at Santa Anita. We got
Oakland before the
day at
sequence,
Oakland.
right?
Yeah, that's on Sunday too. Yeah, so
Rebel Day.
remember that. So real quick, Howard, I meant to ask you this on the other show for our power picks. If anybody wants to subscribe, are you doing a mix of Sunday and Saturday this week? Since they moved the card, I assume you'll be doing Rebel Day.
Yes. So the Power Pick tip sheet, look below the video player for information on the very inexpensive and profitable Power Pick tip sheet. The main sequence is going to be Sunday, as it turns out, for Rebel Stakes Day. Our secondary sequences are Gulfstream and a real nice late pick 5 on Saturday. And then, of course, our wonderful partners at Santa Anita. I always talk in detail about the late pick 4 that we just discussed, but there's more information on there and more suggested plays. So yes, it's a combination of Saturday and Sunday. I think that wraps up, Paul, unless you got anything you want to add.
No, we'll talk next week. We should, the Hall of Fame nomination finalists came out today, so we'll talk about it another time, but I did have my Groupie Doll hat on on our previous show, and I will assure my good friend Buff Bradley that Groupie Door will be getting at least one vote. One of my all-time favorites.
Very nice. And huge weekend next week in San Anita, San Felipe, Frankie Kilroe Mile. Saturday at San Anita, the 28th, is a doozy. So big races coming up with some Baffert monsters running next weekend. Yes, Pete.
By the way, I won't see you guys next week, so I'll see
right.
everyone in the chat in 2 weeks. My next Thursday is my wife's birthday, so I figured I should probably skip the podcast. We're supposed to go out to dinner, so I figure if I want to stay married and depending on how my weekend goes, I'm not sure I could afford a divorce. We'll see if I hit some pick fives and stuff. Then maybe I'll consider skipping the dinner, but.
Early bird special, Pete. That solves a lot of problems.
It does. It does. She's not old enough. She hasn't hit 50 yet, Paul. So she's not ready for early bird like we are. I don't understand.
Good for you, Pete. Well, happy.
I know.
Happy birthday to Mrs.
Jessica.
Visco.
Jessica. Yes, Mrs.
Thank
Visco.
you. Yes. All right. So for my wonderful friends and co-hosts, Pete Visco, Paul Howard, and this has been we're in double digits, episode 10. Of Great Race Plays. Good luck all weekend long. And as always, crush your bets. Sunday, late pick 4, San Anita. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.